Bottom right, now blue Terran player here in the TLMC. It is Clem. In top left from the Shopify Rebellion, we do have Scarlett in game 1 of this best of 3 series. As we do look to see what we can get done, how things might go in these early stages. What have we seen so far in terms of players that add in this group? Scarlett, 0-1, lost out to Wayne at the start of the day. Clem 2-0, perfect so far. Great series he just played against Creator. I'm going to be following all of Clem's games through for the moment. So, group's really still kind of wide open. Anything can still really happen. A lot going on. Let's see what goes down. In this TVZ, that could absolutely be a very fun one. I mean, Scarlett... I feel like if Scarlett can get through the early stages of ZvT, she can be so freaking scary. Clem, we know he's amazing at TVZ, so... this really should just be a great match, honestly. Really looking forward to see, again, just how this kind of turns out. What the players are going to bring. The TLMC brought to you by Monster. Shout out to Monster once again. Good to have them here supporting the TLMC and helping this event to be more or less as great as it's always been, which is awesome. So, hell yeah to Monster helping us keep this alive. You guys want an Ellie skin in Stormgate? That'd be funny. STV, having a bit of a move around, scouting to see that this is a hatch first. It's good information to have early, of course. I'm kind of glad we see this map in the TVZ. I wanted to see how this map works with players that might genuinely want to move through the middle a lot more, a lot of action in the middle, and then kind of changing around like the rocks and stuff. That's why I put it into this series. Because I really do think it's potentially very cool what can happen in a TVZ on this map. So, as a Reaper is harassing Lings. Ah, the Reaper nearly got caught. Very scary, but it does get away. I was watching our Observer just like watch the commands, and I'm like, the Reaper's fighting. Usually that's what people shout at me for. It's kind of funny. Those billboards with Monster Energy. Hell yeah. Cool little addition for this TLMC. Got some features promoting the map, promoting the sponsor. Very cool. Couple SCVs being chased around, couple SCVs being hunted. As the feelings do get across the map because the Reaper lost track of them. It's a little bit awkward there, but otherwise looking pretty good, and our first Hellions are out to start stabilizing in these early stages. Liberate about halfway done. Clem loves this kind of Liberator Hellion play. He's always been very fond of it. As he knocks down that forward creep team, and we see some Lings getting in. They're going to grab an SCV. Going to be able to nab that nice and quickly here. And otherwise, seeing the Lings getting in for another SCV kill too. So, good little bits of damage being dealt. Stim packets coming up. Hellion's coming around the back, and that's a couple of SCVs down. But we do get a drone, and the natural not currently mining. Hellion's over here do now deal with those Lings. Lose one Hellion over here. We're going to nearly lose two more. A little bit of a messy opening. A couple of mistakes being made on either side. The Lib getting some kills in the main, though, is adding to Clem's success, at least at the end of all of this. I was going to say, this income graph is going to be disgusting. Clem has just been so good at keeping Scarlett from mining throughout this last few moments. It's definitely a major positive. Looking around the map, this map is, I've mentioned it before, but very active. Lots of cool little doodads. I wonder if this map runs badly on certain setups. That might be a cause for it to get changed a little bit, but I think only graphically. The only bad thing I've had to say about this map so far is that graphically it might be a little bit funky. Liberator's back as Scarlett tries to counterattack in. Clem's wall is good if a little bit makeshift. Good hold and good defense. One more missiles. Roach be coming up. Scarlett's going to show us a Roach style. You know, for everything that's going on, we have a pretty even game on our hands. Scarlett has lost a few drones, but she's killed off a few Hellions, a Liberator. You know, this has not come freely for Clem. And you have to have a good early game against Clem. Because if you don't have a good early game against him, he's just going to show up with the first two medevacs and he's going to start bopping you left, right, and center. See, I think it's actually very important that Scarlett's been able to really get a little bit, you know, through the early game without too many losses. Going to play those Roaches a bit sturdier as well. We'll see how she does, because Clem is likely to step up the pressure into this next phase of the game. Currently just rallying units through the center of the map. Couple creep teams going down. We start to head through a slow zone. Tank will siege, and it's going to be seeing how Roaches are kind of moving across. Marine's going to try and get this hatchery. I mean, the tank positioning is very cute. Another counterattack from Scarlett. She's been great at these counters. She's in on the natural. She's in on the third base, so really dealing a good bit of damage throughout. Tank fire is still pretty decent, as we do have these zones starting to move through some of these slow zones. We're seeing those come into play. Again, the way that these slow zones work on the map, by the way, as well, is this. Okay, wait a second. Clem's on this base as well. Getting a few more drones. He lost 9 SCVs, but he's going to make up for it by killing 7 workers, 8 workers. Good job. Each of these slow zones has a rock tower next to it, so if you kill off the rocks, the slow zone gets destroyed by the rocks dropping down. Then if you clean out the rocks, this just becomes a normal pathway. So I do think that's a pretty cool factor. We've not seen it really come into play yet, but it could be a, you know, something you use later on to kind of change up, you know, certain positions on either side. Certain players will be like, oh, actually, I want this kind of unit to look like this. I don't want this to be a pathway at all. When Scarlett comes across, she is actually going to find herself a tank, and Scarlett with a bit of momentum right now might be looking kind of terrifying. Clem's supply, 60 army to 101. Hasn't dropped the map yet today. He's very close to losing this command center. Scarlett will keep on battling towards the CC. Now she's going to drop some battles towards the Marines. SCVs have to pull in. It looks as though Clem maybe lost a little bit too much on the other side. There's attack of Scarlett putting in work. Doing a very good job of things here. A couple of those Ravagers going down, and well, on we go. Just going to see our Marines coming back around the other direction. Marines continuing up. 13 SCVs going down just beforehand in that, so pretty big deal. As you see, Roach Ravager going to start moving through this slow zone and just trying to be a little bit annoying. Medevacs have to lift off. Medevacs have to take a moment to move away. Roach's Ravagers set in the center, just going to see our Marines and everything moving around too, and well, Clem kind of survived what seemed like a very scary phase, and obviously he was still teching up, while Scarlett was kind of just throwing units at him. To me, that means that Clem should have a bit more of a comfortable situation to be in now. Scarlett, on the other hand, Hive is on the way up at least. Starting to get Bane speed. She is changing up her own composition. And Clem is still only on 3 bases, currently also not starting up 3-3 upgrades, so not continuing that advantage as much as he maybe could be doing so. Just a few kind of interesting different things going on kind of across the map. Marines setting up on that bottom side, roaches coming through, gonna nip their way through this refinery. Couple tanks getting sieged, and oh my god, those roaches get blasted. As that biosim's up a storm, Banespeed just finishes. Clem is still kind of climbing up there in terms of supply. Obviously at this point, 11 minutes in, really wants to get that 4th base down on location, get that going. But the one thing that Scarlett has created throughout this game is pressure from her own means. She's not letting Clem run this game. She's not letting Clem be the aggressor. She's not letting Clem go here, there, and everywhere. I think that's a very, very important part of this game. But it's absolutely true that if you are kind of the... if you kind of end up being the, you know, defender constantly against Clem, he is just so good at wearing you down. He is so good at working through you. He's going to see Adrenal Glands coming up, plus 2 melee on the way as well. 11 Banelings currently producing as our Marines. Holding out on the left-hand side, a Marauder joining up with them. A few more tanks out in the front as well, and just getting a little bit of a scan up. Some more of this group spread being cleaned out. Run by here is going to hit some SCVs. End up rolling into the tanks, which isn't so pretty. It looked like it had more potential than it did in the end. Scarlett really trying to press the issue moving through. Banelings are kind of rolling into these Marines. That Blinding Cloud's a great idea, and it does start to have an impact, but it needed to be on the Marines initially. I think being behind the Marines stopped them kiting back, but they didn't need to kite back against those Banes. And that was a bit of a misjudgment from Scarlett, whose idea was very good, just... yeah, in the actual situation, it didn't work out too much. We're going to see Clem pushing straight up the left-hand side now. He's going to begin to siege tanks up on the ramps and just around this area, still utilizing the slow zone in his favor. I mean, the slow zone works in his favor when in some fights, and obviously in some fights it's going to work against him. Scarlett's going to jump on this, knocks down a couple of Blinding Clouds, trying to lock these tanks out from dealing too much splash damage on the way in. Banes continue to chase, the Ravagers coming through as well. Do we have enough firepower here? We should be able to pile down that siege tank, no problem. Goes down in an instant, but now we're being chased. Ravagers don't have the necessary support. Scarlett is rich. She has bases for days, 90 drones. She just needs to get reinforcing units out here. And at the moment, the Lings are not cutting it. 3-3 of the Terran finishing up. Might allow you to stand and fight here as Clem a little bit longer than you would have been able to before. 21 additional Banelings morphing on the left-hand side. Marines and tanks and medevacs into the center. Going to take the watchtower as well. Scarlett has amazing creep, by the way, down the right side of the map. Clem has not done anything about that. That's one of the benefits of Clem being controlled throughout the early stages. Scarlett really has just great access down that right side. That doesn't matter just yet, but it could really emphasize some later pushes and some later run-bys even. Just something to watch out for right now. We're fighting down the left, and Scarlett is going to come through with the Vipers. Clem, what can we do about it? Can we find any EMPs? No, not just yet. Blind Clouds go down again. First couple tanks get caught up. Banes start to roll on in, and that's a lot of Banelings. They're going to start reaching mineral lines. This is where the Terran really starts to run into trouble, when they start losing economy during these fights, because then it's really difficult to rebuild and to keep on competing with the Zerg. Scarlett's going to lose an eye on everything, but obviously... yeah, obviously Clem has been losing pretty much everything as well. There's a couple more tanks going down. These Lings are going to keep on moving in, jumping on top. Roaches and Ravagers keep on coming through. We're just going to be seeing Scarlett is sitting, well, very comfortable in supply and very comfortable as well, currently on her rebuild. Round 7 or so. Again, how does Clem ever really get up enough numbers? He doesn't. GG's, and Scarlett is going to take game number 1. Alright, guys. In the top right-hand side, that blue Terran from Team Liquid. This is Clem. In the bottom left, our red Zerg from the Shopify Rebellion is Scarlett. As we get ourselves into Infestation Station for map 2, Clem down a game. That's his perfect map streak on the day ruined. See if he can bounce back. Final match today for Clem, by the way, is versus Max Pack, so he could very easily go from being 2-0 to 2-2. If he loses this, versus Max Pack is obviously absolutely zero guarantee. Yeah, some good games. I really like this group. To me, it's very fun, a little bit unpredictable. Really a lot of, like, different ways that these results could work out. I think it's been actually one of my favorite groups I've had in a WardiTV competition for a long time. Hatch, gas, and spawning pool all coming up here as we get this underway. Infestation Station, very choky until you take down a lot of these rocks. This dome just chilling in the middle. Is Zerg OP on a Zerg map? We'll be finding out very soon. Can you imagine making a Zergy map and it turns out it's just really Terran favored? The map does have a pretty kind of compact initial base layout with that further out kind of, side base. It's a layout we see quite a lot, honestly. I like these kind of maps. Very Jagnatha-esque. A bunch of different ways to make this base layout kind of unique and individual and work. So I'm down for it, man. I am down to see how everything works out. Keeping a couple of Hellions moving around. Causing a little bit of trouble early. Gonna have an armory early from Clem. With an armory, I do feel as though we obviously hit those Halberd attacks, and he really obviously wants to get something done early. I wouldn't say Skulls are kind of played, always just be kind of underprepared against stuff like that, although this game, Queen's Lings, is all that's set up, and she's now building drones. Does not currently have the info to set up better against this. Halberd started morph. Well, let's see what the defense looks like. Queens can deal with this if microed very effectively. Let's see what we do. Queen's getting clumped up a bit, need to try and spread out. If we could get rid of the medevac, that would be amazing. We still have some Queens taking some heavy damage. Yeah, now the Lings realize it's kind of just time for them to go, but then there's a choke point, and Clem in general just in a pretty nice position here, just really working his way into a good corner that Scarlett is going to struggle to get out of, and Clem's kills are already stacking up. He's lost basically nothing, and he is absolutely slaying Queen. 6 are dead. Lings are popping out to their death as well, and Infestation Station is currently being hell-battered to the Terran Station. I don't know what a sort of Terran thing we could say is, but yeah, this is not good. Scarlett's counterattacking when there's still all the units on this side because she's just desperate. She ain't gonna find anything against Clem us, but we might be having one of those seasons. Sometimes it just happens on such odd maps as well. I remember in the past, like, certain maps just didn't get played at all. They turned out to be really good maps. Bottom left, our blue Terran player. Heading into game number 3. This is Clem. Top right, our red Zerg is Scarlett from the Shopify Rebellion. Let's see where this one takes us. After this, Clem versus Maxpax coming up, and just across the day, guys, we do, of course, have 5 best of 3s after Clem Maxpax still to go as well. So plenty of StarCraft still coming away. We're going to have some sponsored content a bit further down the line, too, in the form of the Call of Dragons. If you want to get ahead on that and come join and play with us, !COD. And you guys can get it downloaded and ready to go. Rex, just going to be coming up at the front, getting that ready. As if you're just going to come on a bit of a journey, get some scouting done. Here on Solaris, we've not seen this map too much. It does have these acceleration zones. I love these. So the idea of these acceleration zones is that they actually help you to get around corners more quickly. So with a map layout that's oftentimes abused by tanks hugging corners and, you know, walls and so on, these acceleration zones help you get around those corners with small units. Like, so in TVZ, with Lings and stuff, you can get around those corners more quickly and shut down what is usually one of the big things of Terran players, and Zealots as well, right? So Zealots and Zerglings can run around corners and jump on top of tanks more easily. And tanks usually are the biggest culprit of kind of ruining maps like this, where you've got these kind of layers in the middle of the map that the tanks can shoot over. So it's a cool idea. I actually really like it, because we see a lot of maps in TLMCs where we do have that kind of setup, where it's like, you've got these kind of walls shape in the middle of the map, and it's just like, okay, but it's amazing for Terran. They siege up behind it, and boom, it's really good. And I'm not sure the acceleration zones will necessarily be enough to just negate that power. But it's cool to see it kind of being addressed to some extent, at least, right? It's cool to have a map that says, hey, look, maps like this don't usually work, but here's my solution as to how I might make it a bit better. Like I say, may not be enough, but the idea is very cool. I like the idea a lot. Clem finds himself a drone handling off the Reaper, and is going to come back in and try and find a little bit extra. Just being annoying and frustrating early game, trying to make Scarlett's life difficult in these early moments. He comes around over to the left side, going to hop up to the high ground. Queen and a few more Lings continue to gather in, and this Reaper continues to go after the Lings there. Going to knock one down pretty much immediately. The Reaper will pop the Queen backward again. Queen's still here. Reaper Helene still taking a little bit of damage. Roach Roaring is on the way as well here from Scarlett, so he's going to play into those Roaches once again. Now, this could be quite aggressive Roaches. A couple more Overlords finishing, just 41 drones and spam units. She's taking extra gases, which will then power up the potential to just morph Ravagers once these Roaches are across the map as well. So, it does seem like Scarlett wants to go across the map quickly, as Clem has Hellions that might be useful for getting a little bit of a spot on this, if they get a chance to spot. But now being held back, unable to do much. The Hellions and the Reaper just getting turned away back to, like I say, the center of the map for a moment. Clem's Banshee is absolutely imperative to defending this. I mean, he needs something that can hit these Roaches hard. And right now, the Banshee is going to be it, as otherwise, he's pretty blind. He does not really see much of what is currently going on. You can see the Ling Roach kind of holding up on the high ground a little bit. Queen's coming down the sides. Hellions will put some shots out. Ling's taking damage. I mean, the problem is, I mean, these Hellions are kind of all busy all around over here, and we just lost a Banshee to Queens. Oh, no. Clem just had no idea this was coming. His vision was never able to pick up on this, and then you send a Banshee across the map to harass, and then he got caught up busy, and suddenly you lose yourself a Banshee to the Queens. That is really bad, because any Banshee, any unit would have gone a long way to helping here. Scarlett kills 7 SCVs so far. I feel like this has not gone as well for as it could have done. I mean, no Lings reinforcing this is a real shame, as the one Banshee is starting to clean up. Don't tell me we're only going to get like 10 workers. That would be a travesty given the lead. There's not even a wall off up the ramp, so like Lings could just flood into the main base as well. I mean, here are some Lings now. We are starting to kill some extra SCV. Scarlett is finally starting to get this little bit of extra damage done that I really feel like she needs to get done to be seeing success here and to be okay following up into the mid game. She's going to lose pretty much everything. Well, absolutely everything, because, well, there was just Banshees wailing away. Clem did add one more Banshee than usual, the third Banshee, because he lost one on the map. So he still does have 2 Banshees, but that again comes at the extra cost of the Banshee. Starport is going to be much later to a reactor, and hence much later to medevacs. Scarlett ends up now 20 workers ahead after some droning of herself and after her attack settles down. Is that enough to be in a good place? I want to say, yeah, it probably is. I kind of like it, honestly. I think it's good. Lings, Queen, couple spores continue through. Banshees are making their way to the upper right, where they will find themselves already. One creep tumor. Grabbing that immediately. As this one Hellion kind of comes in, obviously Banshees can still put in some work to undo some of the damage Scarlett has achieved. She's going to play Roaches on the follow-up, so she can play pretty aggressively beyond this. I'd imagine is a big part of it, is Queen's having to rotate backwards. With the Overseer arriving, we actually still lost a Queen. Couple Queens go down then, obviously. You'd rather lose Queens than drones. It's still nice for Clem to get a bit of anything right there. And Scarlett's just going to leave the game. Well, I didn't think Scarlett was about to leave the game, honestly. She just has no units? And she has a good worker lead. She doesn't have any units, don't get me wrong. She has money, she's massively supply blocked. And she loses these Lings. She just has so much money to spend on Roaches. Hey, I guess losing the Lings and everything obviously makes it a bit messy and so on, but